wanted to actually talk about going backwards. So whether we want to admit it or not, at some point in everybody's life, we've all gone back to something or someone that we know we had no business going back to. It could have been a past relationship. It could have been a job that, was no good for us. It could have been some friends, just anything. And we've all fallen into the trap of going back to that thing with some sort of hope or expectation that things were going to be better than how we left them in the first place. And then we soon realized that we were right for leaving in the first place and we had no business returning. So, but that's okay. We're human. We make mistakes. That's what we do. The whole purpose of life is to go through things and to learn from things, to grow through our experiences. We're not just going through them casually, but we actually are aiming to grow through every experience that we encounter. And it's just very difficult when we find ourselves in a tough spot and we don't think that we can keep moving forward. When we're like, oh my goodness, whatever situation I'm in right now is so difficult, so deep, that I think I was better off where I was before. As bad as that situation was, but this right here, the pain that you're feeling right now, the way that things are hitting you so hard right now, you're probably like wishing you could go back to whatever that thing or that person was. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of encouragement to set your focus on the right things, because as long as you keep your mind set on the goals, wherever you're headed, you will not get synced into and tricked into believing that going back to whatever made you unhappy is what's going to unlock whatever new dimension that you're trying to go to, that you're trying to, propel to. Because it's false advertising that your mind is selling to you. We have to remember that the mind, it controls everything. Everything. Although we can't control all of our thoughts, but we can definitely try to take control of what we do with the thoughts that we think. So whenever we find ourselves going back to the past, things that we left in the past and that we have no business going back to, it's really vulnerability, things like vulnerability, loneliness, desperation that drive us to those things. And when you recognize that it's not anything good that's trying to bring you back to those things, that should be your number one key, your number one motivation to stay steady in the path that you're already on. If you're going somewhere and the road is tough, whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're battling with, it could be this economy, it could be this new relationship that you're in, or just you bettering yourself, just you trying to grow. Maybe you're in school studying something. You don't want to go back to whatever it is that made you unhappy, whatever it is that left you stuck, whatever it is that you work so hard to try to leave, to try to get rid of, when you can even think back, for those of you that played video games as a child or even now in your adult life, you can even think back to whenever you are in this very hard level, whether it's Super Mario or Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto, Candy Crush, I don't know, whatever game that you play. Sometimes you reach this level that is so difficult. And when you finally get past it, you're like, yo, oh my God, like you was pulling your hair out trying to think about how you going past this level. You can't sleep. You're looking like a zombie. Your eyes are red. You're just like, you're looking like a fiend on, like withdrawn from crack. But it's like, but then when you finally get past that level, think about the joy that it brought you. Think about the feeling of accomplishment that you got from leaving that thing that had you so bound at one point. Now, why then, when you get to the next level, that's even more challenging, would you even reconsider going back to that level that had you so stuck, that had you like not able to eat, not able to sleep, not able to think properly, just having you stressed out? Like no gamer who's playing any type of video game wishes to go back to a level that they work so hard to get out of, because it just doesn't make sense. So then why do we do it in life? You know, like we work so hard. We try so hard to get away from certain people, to get away from certain things, certain environments, and to propel ourselves forward, to achieve better, to want better for ourselves, just for us to get sink back into the same old thing that had us stuck, that had us bound before. Really ask yourself, why do you do that? Because everybody has a different answer. My answer is going to be different from yours. Yours is going to be different from mine. You have to think about why you're going back to those same patterns, those same routines, those same things that made you unhappy. I mean, personally, it might be that we're kind of addicted to misery, you know, in a sense. Like, we love the feeling of being happy. We love the idea of happiness and of accomplishments. But then it's like you always get that itch. You always crave for something that you once had because it's what was familiar, especially when you find yourself in this new aspect of your life, on this new level where you're hitting difficult times. Let's talk about finances. You know, right now with this pandemic happening, especially, what a perfect example. You know, like a lot of people might be thinking to themselves, oh my goodness, this is hard. Now, you know, maybe you might be an entrepreneur or self-employed, whatever it is that you're doing, or maybe your job isn't considered essential, so you're not really working right now, and your source of income is not really very dependable at the moment. I mean, I'm not telling you to just sit around on the couch and just wait for a pile of money to come to you. Not at all. But you have to make a decision. You have to think critically about what you're going to do. I just want you to work your mind, to exercise your mind, to make sure that the next move that you make is not a move of desperation. That you don't throw away everything that you work for just to get sink back into working a 9-to-5 for a job, for a corporation that you were so miserable in. You know, if you have a goal, if you have a plan, of course, do what you need to do to pay the bills and to provide for your family and for yourself. But I'm saying if you have options, exercise those options. The same thing in our love lives. You know, once you've left that person, that spouse, that mate, there's no reason for you to go back. You got to really think very, very hard about what you're doing before you actually do it. Because will going back to that person just fulfill your needs and satisfy you for the moment? And then after that, you're going to end up the same way that you were before, heartbroken and miserable and upset and angry and whatever. Like, just think about it. Look, I'd rather pay a small price now. The small price is loneliness, is vulnerability. But at least I know that I'm not going back to that same thing. It's like premeditated misery. Because you know what you're going to encounter. You know what you're getting ready to put yourself through, because you've been there before, you've done that before. So why would you then want to actually go through the whole process again? Why would you want to go through those same steps? Because the person is not going to change. The person that you're running back to, that you know is no good for you, is not going to change. And the reason that they're not going to change is because them changing isn't dependent on you. So right now, you're feeling lonely, you're feeling miserable. Maybe you are going through some things, depression on the inside or whatever. You're just like, oh my goodness, I just want to be with somebody. I miss being, you know, with someone or whatever. So, you know, you start to work your way back to someone that you left, someone that you knew was no good for you. You had a reason for leaving that person in the first place. Don't let those distractions, don't let those moments of insecurities and desperation suck you back into a lifestyle that is not for you. Don't go back to selling drugs. Don't go back to like being bitter and upset. Don't go back to overeating and not exercise and not bettering yourself. You know, this works for everybody, every aspect of your life. It's not just about your love life. It can be about your health. It can be about anything that you choose to make it be about. Just if you know that it's not good for you, there's no need for you to go back to that thing. You got to remember the pain and the heartache and everything that it cost you to be in that place in the first place. You got to literally try to remember like all the agony, everything that you lost, the expense of being with that person or being in that situation. And I don't know about anybody else, but that's enough for me to keep moving forward as opposed to going back just because I'm feeling some type of way at the moment. It's not happening. And I hope that you guys do the same thing too, because it's hard. Like, it's so much easier said than done because you have so many things pulling you left and right, trying to drag you back to those things. Your mind is playing tricks on you, making you feel like you need this person or you need that. Oh, this is the perfect opportunity for me to go back to this job, or this is the perfect opportunity for me to go back to this lifestyle. You know, like, I'm not making any money right now, so I might as well go sell some dope. I might as well start stripping again, or I might as well, you know, drop out of school because things are just tough right now because these classes are too demanding. Why would you move forward in the first place if you were just going to go back to what you knew? I understand that it's so much easier for us to go back to what we knew because it's what's familiar. It's what we're used to. So you literally already know what's going to happen. Now, the way that the mind works is it makes you, because you know what's going to happen because you've been there before, you've lived it before. Your mind is trying to play tricks on you to believe that, oh, well, I already know what is going to happen because I've been with this person before, or I was, you know, out on the corner before, or I was at that job before, so it won't be that bad. I'll just know what to do. I'll just know how to maneuver, or I'm already expecting, you know, what's to come. No, that should actually be what drives you to keep moving forward. Knowing and reliving that past, that should be the #1 MO. That should be like, you know what? I refuse to go back because I remember. And I don't want to relive that again. So when you go back, you're literally reliving it physically. It's one thing for you to relive it mentally, but then you're reliving it physically over and over and over again. There's a story in the Bible with the story of Moses when he was leading the people of Egypt away from slavery, away from Pharaoh and, you know, all his other crazy mess. So when they reached a point where they're in front of the Red Sea, they see this huge, massive body of water in front of them, and they don't know how they're going to get across. Yet they have this army of Pharaoh's people, like, not too far behind them, coming to kill them and to take them back. Most of them, they were there talking amongst themselves like, we were better off still being slaves because this right here, how are we going to get across this? Like, we should have, some of them were like considering, okay, let's go back. Like, it's not too late to go back. You know, we should have never left and, you know, been doing this in the first place. But it takes someone or something deep down inside of you that has a bigger willpower than you do, that has more faith than you do, that has more belief than you do. So you got to dig down deep to that thing that's inside of you. Or if it's a person that really motivates you, someone that can really speak through to you, and you need to dig deep into that thing or that person and help them to, you know, just shake you up a little bit, or help that thing to kind of shake you up a little bit and give you the strength that you need to move forward. Because we all know what happens next. Eventually Moses, you know, he parts the Red Sea with the power of God, of course. You know, he uses the staff that was in his hand, part of the Red Sea. And then as the people of Israel are crossing the Red Sea, or just walking through it, because what happened was the Red Sea just split in half and just made like a runway for them to just walk through. And anybody who is behind them, they, like, the water just started flowing back after the last person that was crossing. And when they're seeing this happening, they're just in such awe and such amazement. And that's the feeling that we all get once we move past something that has been keeping us hostage. Once we pass that level in our lives that we didn't think we could pass. But once you take that step, once you do that thing that you know is right, even when it don't feel good, even when it's not fun, even when you're hitting hard times, the feeling of victory is much, much sweeter once you actually get to victory. So just keep that in your mind, you know, keep that drilled in your mind that, you know what, the greatness that's going to come out of me moving forward is so much better than whatever pain that I'm feeling right now. So don't go back to being bitter. Don't go back to being, you know, like hoeing around, or just thinking that it's okay to just like, oh, F everybody, I'm turning my heart off, you know, as people say, and, you know, oh, F everybody, you know, I've put in my all into, you know, so many people, so many women or so many men, and they just broke my trust. They broke my heart. They did this, they did that. I get it. I totally get it. You have every reason to be upset. You have every reason to lack trust. But I'm just asking you to don't let that stop you. To keep going forward. To keep giving new chances. You know, don't let whoever hurt you in the past damage you so much, because there was no sense of you leaving that person that hurt you if you're still going to be carrying around their weight to the next person. Because by you kind of giving up, you being half-assed, you half-assing this, half-assing that, you half-assing this new relationship, and you're not opening up, and you're just like, you know, it is what it is, whatever happens, happens. That's the wrong type of mentality to have in life. It's so easy to fall back into those same patterns, same routines, but don't. Whenever you see yourself like kind of straying away and asking yourself, should I go back, or could I? I mean, that job, it wasn't that bad. You know, I hated it and I was miserable every day of my life, but you know, I lived. At what cost? At what cost? You just got to remember that. What are you going to pay to go back? Because there's always a price. There's always a price for going back, for doing something that you know you shouldn't do. So if you think that you're willing to go through that price, to pay that price and go through all of that nonsense again, be my guest. But trust me, you're going to find yourself in a cycle repeating itself over and over and over again. So thank God that Moses was there to be that light, to have enough faith for everybody, to be able to, you know, ask God for his guidance, and to have enough faith in God and in himself to believe that if he stretched out this staff that's in his hand, that it would part the Red Sea and that God will make a way for them. You got to have that same type of faith in yourself and in God also. You got to realize that he brought you through that for a reason. So don't disappoint him by going back to what's familiar. Don't disappoint him. Don't disappoint yourself, your family, by doing what you know you shouldn't be doing. If you say that you're trying to better yourself or you're trying to make somebody proud, make sure that whatever you're doing to try and make them proud, that they would approve of also. Because for some people, you can hand them money, but they want to know where that money came from. Is this blood money? Is this stripping money? Is this money? Is this clean money? I'm one of those people. I don't just want anything that's handed to me. Like, I would like to know if it's something that's out of the ordinary. Like, you're just coming and handing me this ball of cash. Like, I want to know where you got this from. How did you attain this? Because if the cost of you getting it is something that is far beyond what you should even be involved in the first place, then I don't want anything to do with it. It's the same thing in life with everything you go to. You got to know where that is coming from, where that thought is coming from, where that idea is coming from, that idea of you wanting to go to something that you shouldn't be going to. That thought of, oh, what if I decide to drop out of school again and start doing this and start doing that? We all have decisions to make in life. And I'm saying that it's all up to you. You know yourself. You know your circumstances better than anybody. So you got to know what's worth going back for and what's not. Because everything is not always worth going backwards for. So that's pretty much all that I have for you guys. Just really, really reflect on your life. And most likely, 9 times out of 10, whatever the harder decision to make is probably the better decision. If it's that easy for you to just go and get some drugs and start selling it because you're low on cash, it's probably not the right decision. if it's harder for you to keep pushing yourself, for you to keep working out and bettering your health, for you to limit the amount of food that you eat and, eat right and get your body right and do this, yeah, that's harder. That means that it's probably better for you, rather than you just being like, you know what, I'm going to die someday anyway, or I'm too far away from my goal, or you know what, I've been working on this whole credit thing for so long. My credit, it's okay right now, but I really want to get this thing. But you know the cost that it's, the price that it's going to cost you to make that mistake that you're going to make, to take out that unnecessary loan. So just think wisely before you make a decision. And remember that going backwards is not always better. Bye.